Hi there, welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be doing my weekly review for this week's episode of The Walking Dead Season 6. This week we got to see The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 6, which was called Always Accountable. Alright, cool. So this week we got to see The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 6, which was called Always Accountable. There's 2 episodes left in the this half season of The Walking Dead, so it'll be Episode 7, and Episode 8 will be the mid-season finale, and then The Walking Dead will be back at some point in February. I believe there's been a confirmed date, but I'm not 100% sure what it is. It's usually around the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, that kind of day on Sunday, and then of course us UK viewers get it the Monday after, just 24 hours after the US, which is pretty cool, on Fox. So I like this episode a lot. It introduced a cool new character, which it has been confirmed who he is, because there was speculation as to whether or not he was that character. Comic book readers would know who he is, but obviously it's going to be difficult in my reviews to avoid comic book spoilers, so I'll sort of hint over them a little bit, like I just did. So yeah, we got to see him, and it has been confirmed that he is that character that comic book fans were suspecting he was. So that makes a lot more sense. Otherwise, if it wasn't that character, it would have been very odd to have him in the episode as much as he was to introduce him, because I wouldn't have seen as much of a point. Of course, we got some good character development out of that with Daryl as well. With him sort of going back to help them and that kind of stuff. We got to see what happened. You know, the guy was saying about, you know, the woods being burnt down and all that kind of stuff, because as Daryl was kind of skidding in, we saw him laying next to this biker with a helmet on. Some people said it's foreshadowing that Daryl could become like the biker. I'm not sure, but there's always hints and rumours about Daryl's death. I wouldn't particularly listen to them too much, because Daryl's obviously, of course, a big and important character to The Walking Dead. So I wouldn't worry about Daryl too much. But I would always say that with The Walking Dead, the two safest permanent characters would be Carl and Rick. Michonne a close third. Her being able to maybe die, but not anytime soon in the series, I would say. And then Daryl would be probably the fourth. You know, in terms of their importance to the kind of arching story. Obviously, Rick and Daryl the most important, with, you know, Michonne and Daryl being third and fourth. So we also got to see some development with Abraham and Sasha this week. Everyone was being attacked by this armed group. They have guns and stuff like that. They were chasing Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham, and then of course they got separated. It hasn't been confirmed who they are, but again, comic book readers are suspecting who it might be. So I hope I haven't spoiled that too much again. Like I said, it's going to be kind of difficult to avoid those comic spoilers. Again, if they are who they're suspected to be, it would make more sense again, because then that would tie up a lot of knots, basically. And then it would move the story along at a nicer pace than maybe the last 3 episodes, because we had episode 1, 2, and 3, of course, which was First Time Again, episode 1, and then JSS was episode 2, and then Thank You was episode 3, and then you had the Morgan one with Here's Not Here, and then Now, I believe last week's episode was called. You can check out my review on the channel for that. And then episode 6, of course, this week, Always Accountable. So you had 3 really fast-paced episodes and really good episodes, and then you had 4 slowed it down a bit with the Morgan story. 5 maybe picked it back up again a little bit, with all the stuff with Maggie and Aaron and the Alexandrians last week, and then seeing the return of Rick coming back, and then this week we got to see, you know, Abraham, Sasha, and Daryl. Apart from with the saviors and Daryl, Abraham, Sasha. I think it was a good way to move Abraham and Sasha forward. Maybe we might see them two together. It depends on what happens with Spencer, who took a liking to Rosita, and then Rosita obviously took a liking to Abraham because of what happened last season and stuff. And then you have Sasha, who's now in the mix as well. So it'd be interesting to see how all those relationships kind of play out. But none of those characters are really tied to any of each other. It's kind of just like some of them like each other and that kind of thing. Of course, we'll have to find out what happened to Spencer, because a couple of weeks ago, last week with episode 5, we saw Spencer. He was on top of that watchtower thing, and then we did see the blood at the end, which some people said it was from the same spot. So unless he's killed himself or cut himself or something like that, and then maybe that's his blood dripping down, or unless there's a slight hole in the wall and maybe the zombies are like kind of squeezing against it, and then the blood's coming out there. We should see next week what happens with that blood, because in the promo for next week it does show Rick checking out the blood. He kind of checks it out and sees what it is. I think it's probably just one of the I think it's just a tiny little one. You get those tiny little holes in things and that. It's probably a tiny little hole in the wall, and maybe a zombie's like, because the zombies are probably just pushing against each other in a massive horde. It's probably just that, but the zombies are pushing against it, and the blood's just kind of seeping through, kind of thing. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. In terms of the rest of this episode, it was quite good. There was some good Walker action, some good zombie killing, and then of course we had, I can't remember the name of the other two girls that were with the guy that captured Daryl and then stole his, of course they stole his crossbow and his bike. Will he get those back? I think he probably will. It would be very strange to have him without the crossbow and the bike. Well, the bike, he had one in season 4, he lost it at the prison, of course, with the prison attack. Season 5, he did get it back in the second half. He got a new bike, which was made with the help of Aaron in their workshop and stuff. And I believe that's the same bike in this episode that was lost. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. He could always maybe make a new bike, but that crossbow, he's going to want his crossbow back. So yeah. In terms of other stuff in this episode, off the top of my head, there was at the end, Daryl, Sasha and Abraham were in that kind of tanker truck thing. Abraham picked up an RPG, some interesting scenes there, them finding cigars and stuff like that. We saw basically Daryl was radioing for, he said Rick, like, Rick, are you there, kind of thing, and then we heard a help at the end. Some people saying this may be Glenn, because he was trapped and stuff, and we still don't know if he's alive or dead. So it could be Glenn. It doesn't to me sound like Glenn. I don't really know who it sounds like. Maybe it could be. It depends on the timeline of where this episode is, because it could still be when Rick was trapped in the RV, because we haven't seen how we got out of that yet. So maybe it could be Rick signaling to Daryl that help, which would kind of add up, because Daryl's asking for Rick on the radio, but it could be anyone. We really don't know. I'm going to say it might be Rick, or it could be anyone. It could just be someone that's trapped at Alexandria. It does just depend on where that is in the timeline, because they have been going back and forth with different bits in the timeline. Just have to wait and see what happens with that. And I think that's pretty much all I have to say for this episode. Not tons happened, but a good bit happened that I just discussed. Next week should be interesting. The kind of penultimate episode of the half season. So the penultimate episode is second to last of the first half of the season, and then we'll have the mid-season finale after, and then we'll be back in February. So I'm going to give this episode an 8.7. I know it's a strange kind of number to give. I'm going to give it an 8.7 out of 10. I thought it was very good. I thought it was slightly slow paced at some points. Some of the Abraham Sasha stuff could have been chopped up a little bit, just moments where there's like slow scenes and stuff. But I'm sure we'll pick back up with some pace, some good pace in the next few episodes. Usually that kind of, because we had the first 3 episodes which were so fast paced, we have to slow down a bit and have some character development, because The Walking Dead, like I said last week is all about his characters. So it'd be interesting to see what happens next week. I think obviously the person who's asking for help on the radio, that will be resolved, and that's my prediction anyway. And yeah, we'll see what happens next week, and we'll see what happens with this herd outside Alexandria. Yeah, that's it for this video, guys. That's it for this week's review episode for The Walking Dead, Season 6, Episode 6, which was called Always Accountable. If you like this video, please thumb it up. If you want to support the channel, please share it, please favourite, share through your Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Check out my big channel update video, that will kind of describe the changes that are coming to the channel. So yeah, check that out if you're interested, and subscribe here if you're new. Yeah, doing some cool videos, some cool GTA stuff, some Assassin's Creed stuff, weekly reviews for The Walking Dead. I'm going to review Assassin's Creed Syndicate straight after this video, so these videos will both be up pretty much at the same time, and some cool GTA stuff, and some streams of like Black Ops 3, there's one on the channel at the moment, and hoping to do some State of Decay streams soon, and just good stuff like that basically. So yeah, stay tuned, and thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you for my Assassin's Creed Syndicate review. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Cheers.